Welcome to episode 15 of Four Shot Podcast, where we discuss all things HCS and some things Halo. I am your POTUS Phelan, and with me I have Potato Phade.
Potato in.
Phade coming
How's it
freshly off being in person at the finals.
Yeah, well, for Saturday at least.
For Saturday
I wasn't able to go on Sunday or Friday. Got back from my lovely cruise on Friday morning, so then didn't go to the venue that night, but then went and watched all day Saturday, and then unfortunately wasn't able to go Sunday, but got to watch. I watched most of it from home, but yeah, a good day of Halo, or good weekend of Halo. Like the games and everything were awesome.
Yeah, all around, I was impressed with pretty much every team. You know, there weren't very many 3-0s, which is always good to see. I think maybe 2, if I remember correctly.
What's that? Two what?
Like 3-0s. I think there were only 2 of all the matches. I only think 2 of them.
I think there was the Liquid versus Denial in the first on the first day. I believe, and then there was
C9 versus Excellence is the only other one.
Oh yeah, well, and I guess kind of the grand final or whatever.
Finals.
Yeah,
I don't count the finals.
The second series.
Yeah, I lump all that together. But yeah.
Yeah. So no, I mean, very competitive, like all the way through.
Yeah. So for this week, we're going to talk about Friday night and Saturday night, and then next week we'll be talking about Sunday and giving out our awards just to break it out. Because if we talk about them all in one shot,
we're going to go like 3 hours.
It's going to go 3 hours real quick.
Yeah.
So to get things kicked off, do we want to save roster? Nah.
There's no roster changes.
I mean, there's no roster changes, but there is some.
We'll talk about post finals after finals.
Okay. I was say there's some scoop that I heard.
Looking forward, yeah, looking forward, if you will.
So then we will get things started off. And as far as Friday goes, I missed a couple of matches in CLG versus C9 because I was driving home from work. Because it started at 3 o'clock Eastern time, where people are still working.
Yeah. So, I was actually on the plane, so I missed that one too.
Yeah, I caught EG versus Excellence while I was at work. And then as soon as it ended, I quickly got my car to get home.
Should you not be working?
I mean, what is working?
Exactly.
And then I caught the tail end of CLG versus C9 while I was getting my exercise in.
Perfect. All right, so
yeah, let's get
Excellence in Winter
off.
Fox. Game 1 of the Winners Bracket, round 1 was Sanctuary CTF.
Yeah, Excellence, I think every time I see Excellence, they always seem to get off to a super fast start. Like they practice the very beginnings of matches more than any other team, and then eventually
that's what it seems like, at least.
Eventually, it evens out, and the true skill comes forward. But I feel like they always are able to jump out to an early lead in most of their games, and this was no exception. They jump out to the first flag 2 minutes in, super fast. It looks like they're controlling the map. They're doing really well.
Yeah, it was like a quick 4 down for EG. Actually,
yeah.
They died like right off the bat, and then Excellence was already in their base and running a flag basically before they knew what was going on.
EG tried to make a couple flag runs of their own, and Excellence just stuffed them. I think a couple times they were at least past the halfway point, but Excellence was able to just get the stuff.
Yeah.
And so they kept it up 1-0, and then right around the 22 mark, Lunchbox comes up big with an overkill with the Rockets. Completely wiping out Excellence, and that ends up letting EG get a cap to go up 1-1, or to tie up 1-1.
Yeah, and I mean that just shows like the power of like Rockets, that you almost need a power weapon in a lot of cases to be able to capture or to score cap or anything.
Yeah, it seems when no team has a definitive power weapon, it just turns into a long stalemate, whether it be flag, even Slayer, or bomb. It all just kind of falls out. And then after EG gets that flag, pretty much over the next 4 minutes, they completely take control of the map. They start playing their game, control the weapons, control the map, and they end up getting 2 more flags by the 18-minute mark to win 3-1 and take a 1-0 lead in the series.
Yeah, definitely.
Heading into the second game, Warlord Slayer. This was another game, X kind of get out to an early lead, but it pretty much was neck and neck the entire time. no one really knew who was going to pull it out. And then at the last, very towards the end of the game, Unlegit kind of goes big for his team. Doesn't die, stays up, is able to get a bunch of assists, get some kills, kind of come up big, and it lets X actually win the game 50-46, and kind of a shocker, because I feel like EG Warlord Slayer is one of their stronger game types. They usually don't drop that one.
Yeah, they just have such good communication and everything that normally they're pretty decent at that. Especially, those Game 5 Warlord Slayers almost always win that.
Yeah, for sure.
But, yeah, excellent. I mean, doing a good job taking a game off EG. It's never easy, especially EG, like, for the past, like, 3, like, including the Season 1 finals, I think the last 3 lands, they haven't dropped a game until, like, the semifinal, I think, at the least, before. So, that's a good showing by them. Getting that first game and tying the series 1-1.
For sure. Heading into the third game, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I'm sure it's a confidence booster for them too. Especially, they jump out to that early lead on Sanctuary, and then kind of cough it up a little bit, and then they come out and win game 2, to tie the series. It really probably helped them believe that they had a shot to at least go to a game 5 and potentially win the series. More go to a game 5 than probably winning, but they were there or thereabouts.
Yeah. Heading into game 3, Lockdown King of the Hill. Wasn't really much to talk about here other than the fact that EG won 166-59. It was completely one-sided. This is another game type that EG seems to be a master at, is the Lockdown King of the Hill. They're very good at getting
their
those...
control of D Hill is like ridiculous.
Even B,
and actually
they know how
they
get
take
B,
more time in B than almost anybody else.
Yeah, and then are able to prevent A, C, and E from getting time, and then that's usually enough to win. And that's definitely another game type that you don't see them drop very often.
Yeah. To note there, with the B Hill, they hold B Hill and actually get time in B Hill more than anybody else. Like most of the teams are content to just like try and get Snipe Tower and just like get nades and shots on anybody in the hill and stop other teams from getting time in B, because it is a tough one to actually get big chunks of time in. But EG is like almost like an outlier. They are somehow able to rack up 20-30 seconds per hill there at B, which is impressive.
Yeah, for sure. B Hill is on top of BR for those who may not be aware, and it's very. At first, it was a very easy hill to get, but now teams have figured out how to nade it from elbow or bottom blue, even library. So everyone knows how to nade it from different spots, and so it's gotten a little bit tougher to be able to hold on to. All right.
Yeah, so they won that one convincingly going into game 4. The Warlord Bomb, and this is one that EG's good at every game type, it seems like, but they've always, in my opinion, done very well on Warlord Bomb.
Yeah, they're able to control the hecticness and be very calm. And I want to
They're efficient. That's the thing I noticed, that they're very efficient. So sometimes, we've seen it in the past where they lose the sleigh battle on this game type, but end up winning the game anyway. So that's what I'd say the most, is that they're very good at just being efficient with their bomb plants.
Yeah, and one thing I want to point out that I noticed throughout this whole weekend, more than maybe I just never paid attention to it as much, but anytime the teams started to get this, talking about EG, started to get loud, started to get a little frantic, started getting frustrated, Taui would always be there to put the player back in line, put the team back in line, get everyone focused back in. And, there were multiple times throughout the tournament he would say, all right, guys, we're getting too frantic. Everyone needs to calm down.
Mm-hmm. And that's his experience as a coach. Former national champion, I believe, with Instinct and stuff.
If not, he is now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, obviously Season 1, Season 2, and then I believe with Instinct 2011 for MLG.
Did you see the tweet by Roy? His tweet of the day?
Well, I don't know what it was. What did it say?
15 of the last 20 times EG or Roy and Lunchbox have been with Taui. They've been to a finals, and 11 of those 20 they've won.
Yeah, no, it's a Taui. He's the ultimate coach right now. In the past, it's kind of Triple X is the guy, like the number one coach kind of everyone thought of, but it's definitely Towie right now. He's super experienced and very knowledgeable about the game himself, and he does a great job, like you're talking about, of calming the team down and stuff. And he actually helps with strategy
Yeah, that's
in
the other
games
thing I was
as
gonna
well,
say
like
is the team
setting up
trusts
pushes
him.
and stuff.
Like you can
Yeah,
tell that the
he's
team
much
fully
more than
trusts
like
his
just a
opinion.
timer
Yeah,
person.
he
So
will when he sees something coming up, he will look at the screens. For instance, like Camo on Warlord, he will see who's in the best position to grab it, and specifically say, TJ, grab it.
yeah,
Justin, grab it. Whoever's there, he will say specifically to grab it, and they will respect his opinion and go do it. Like they will trust him,
yeah.
and he will tell them where to pull a flag or where to run something this way, and it takes a lot of trust to get to that point. But when you do, it's just the results show because it's basically
No,
a
absolutely.
fifth
I
person.
mean, and it gives them a huge step up over like their number one competition. Debatable between CLG and Denial, but with Denial, they also have a very experienced coach, but their coach Spikemouth is he's not nearly trusted in the same way. He's almost primarily just a timer person. He's very good at doing the times, and always knowing when that stuff is coming up and everything. But he doesn't have the same trust of his teammates and help dictating the way that the team plays.
Yeah, and it's just like when I listen to Denial, I don't often hear him say much other than the times. But like when you
Yeah,
listen
exactly.
to EG, Towie's talking just as much
It's
as the
really a
rest of
fifth
them.
member of the team
Yeah,
almost
it's like
for
it's
EG.
playing up a man. It's everyone else is playing with fours and they're playing with 4.5. And in
Yeah,
my
exactly.
opinion, it's no wonder they're doing so well. And we're kind of seeing the evolution of coaching and like taking coaching to the next level, and that's what Towie's showing. And so I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing maybe some new coaches that are a little more like
Well,
Towie, or some of the other coaches starting
yeah.
to
Well,
step up
what
their
you've seen,
game.
like some of the coaches. I mean, there's two other coaches that I guarantee have full trust of their team, and that's Clutch for Optic because he's a
Oh yeah,
former
for
national
sure.
champion himself, and then Elamite for Liquid.
Yeah.
Also another former national champion. So those are two really experienced players that know what they're talking about, and so their teams are going to listen to them and respect them a lot as well. As well as for CLG Royal One, he's not as good as his brother, but he was a good player as well. So
Yeah, and for all those teams out there that might be looking for a coach, Coach Phade over here.
exactly.
Step up, step in, hit him up.
Yeah, no, I mean we'll see what happens. I mean, there's some changes that potentially could lead to the comeback, but I don't know.
We'll see how things play out,
We'll
but
see. I mean, I got other stuff to focus on and everything
life
too.
happens.
So,
Yeah.
but
So
I mean, lots of people do. So,
back to our conversation. Warlord Bomb Game 4. EG ends up winning 3-1.
mhm.
It's not a 5-1 win. It goes to time, but
Yeah,
from what I saw, it was still pretty much a one-sided affair. With EG
yeah, for the
controlling
most
the
part.
map, and Excellence does a good job of scrapping and not letting objectives happen necessarily, but
Yeah,
they don't
definitely.
do a good job of going on the offense. Just maybe because
Yeah,
they're just a
at
little
least in this game,
overpowered.
at least this particular game, they weren't very good at like being the aggressor and taking control of the map
Yeah.
and like asserting themselves. So the series finished EG 3-1. I think that's a pretty predictable score and probably what we were expecting. I wouldn't be surprised to see a 3-0 either. But I think a 3-1 is a fair score line for the series.
Yeah, I would
And
have.
Excellence they had some. They played well for a majority of the thing, aside from that lockdown King of the Hill, really, where they didn't do as well. But again, they stopped them from getting 200 points, EG. So, I think it was a good showing by Excellence. And, potentially, yeah, they lost, but it could win in the losers bracket and finish in the top 6.
Yeah, when I look at the maps that they were going to play, I was thinking 3-1, but I was expecting the Sanctuary CTF to be the one that Excellence got, knowing how good
Yeah.
EG is on Warlord and Lockdown King of the Hill.
Yeah, yeah.
I was expecting those to go that way, so it was the score I was predicting, but it wasn't necessarily the game types that I saw going that way. And yeah, Excellence, they always seem to hang, like I said, for a little bit, but their inexperience just always seems to kind of take over at once the game starts actually getting into the thick of things.
Yeah.
Moving into our second game here in the round of 8, CLG versus C9. Probably my most excited game series to watch, knowing how
Yeah, I mean
close
that
these teams
4-5
always play
seed
each other.
is so. They've
Yeah.
been battling it out almost all season against each other and stuff. Um, and then CLG having the great placement in Indianapolis. Which team are we going to see? Are we going to see Indianapolis CLG, or are we going to see, um, Atlanta and the Online Cup CLG?
Yeah. So to get things kicked off, Sanctuary capture the flag. Um, I don't have any times on anything here, but I know C9 broke out to a 2-0 lead, kind of in the beginning of the game, and then CLG just kind of slowly fought back and ended up taking Sanctuary flag 3-2 and getting kind of a win. And C9 kind of chokes a little bit when you're up 2-0 and Sanctuary flag, you should be able to hold on to that, if not put it away.
Yeah, I mean, normally you would expect that, especially because by the time you get up 2-0, a lot of times, there's good 8-9 minutes gone in the game, and there's only 5, 6, 7 minutes left. So you're halfway through the game at least by the time two get scored in a good majority of cases. So, um, you know,
Yeah, like I said, I'm not sure
coming
what the
back from
timings of
2-0 is
those were.
difficult. Yeah, I don't know the times, but normally the game's probably about halfway over when two flags get capped. Um, and so for CLG to be able to, come back and win that game from being down 2-0 is impressive.
Yeah. So we move on to game two, Warlord Slayer. This is probably the one game type that C9 has said over and over and over again that they just struggle with. Specifically Warlord the map, but Warlord Slayer in particular seems to be just, the bane of their existence.
Yeah.
And
I think it
surprisingly,
personally comes down to the fact that it's a very fast game, and I feel like their squad and their team thrives in a little bit slower game types.
yeah, even though they're all incredibly good Slayers, no, I
Yeah.
don't consider any of them to be thinking on their feet good. They're all like strategically
And obviously,
great
yeah, they're
Slayers.
they're pro players, and so they're obviously very good at thinking on their feet and all that and everything. But in comparison to some of the other teams, I think that they like a little bit more methodical gameplay,
Yeah,
and Warlord Slayer can be a little bit chaos
yeah.
sometimes.
Back in like the Halo 2 Classic era, there even though Warlock was a heavily used map, it was a lot more structured than even for whatever reason. Even then, it was a lot more structured, a lot more hold inside bases. It was a lot less chaotic than what we see now.
Yeah,
And
part of that's that in Halo 2 Anniversary, you can shoot further actually than you can in Halo
yeah,
2 Classic.
so with the most of I almost called him Final Boss. Wow, Cloud9 being Halo 2 Classic players like to start with. So a lot of them, I think they still have that mentality of all being methodical players where Winter Fox, who thrive in the chaos, they're a lot more newer players, so they don't have that old school mentality, which I think kind of leads to why we see things go the way they did. But to get back to the game, C9 actually controlled most of this game, surprisingly enough. They were winning majority of the time, and then right at the end, CLG ends up squeaking it out and going up 2-0 in the series, and kind of just, a huge letdown for Cloud9 at that point. That was, they probably knew that Warlord was a game they were going to lose. So coming off Sanctuary CTF, which in their mind probably had to win, and then losing a game type that they thought they were going to lose and almost winning it, their spirits had to be super
That's
down at that
rough.
point.
Yeah, that's rough. Especially, you go down 2-0 in a series, and you tell your teammates, "Oh, we got this. We can come back." Blah blah blah, and all that. But it's hard. But it's difficult. You go down 2-0 in a series, and the chances of you coming back and winning are very small.
Yeah. So we head into game three, Lockdown King of the Hill. The one nice thing is every time I see Cloud9 play on Lockdown, which is a slower, more methodical map that we talked about, this seems to be a map that they excel on. Whenever I see them do King of the Hill or Oddball, I rarely see them drop it. And through the first rotation, C9 basically dominated the whole thing. Got out to like an 80-15 lead, something along those lines. Like it was all basically Cloud9 through the first rotation. And then CLG basically were just like, hey, we're not, we're awesome. We can do this. And they basically dominated the second rotation.
Yeah.
And more or less had the game tied heading into the final 2 minutes. And then C9 was able to they scrapped
those
like
last
10 or
two.
15 seconds in the A hill, which was surprising.
Yeah, and it gives them a little bit of a cushion, it's not much, but it's just that little bit that takes the pressure off them and puts a little bit more pressure on CLG.
Yeah, and then they were able to get CLG out of the hill, get a couple seconds in the B hill to close it out, 146-103, and give themselves some life in the in this series, making it 1-2.
And that 43 seconds, I think that's not quite
Yeah, King of the
indicative
Hill
of
always,
the game
the final scores always look off because once the game,
it was. I believe it was about a 20-second or a 15-second win or something.
Yeah,
like, or
once the game
it'd be
is
like
out of
22
reach,
or 23 seconds, something like that.
they'll get another 20 to 30 seconds because the game's basically over and no one will kill them. So those times are out. I never know if I should just call it, like, write down the score when it's mathematically over, or if I should write down the final score. And
I think mathematically.
Yeah, so maybe going forward I'll start doing that. But either way, C9 wins. Heading into Game 4, Warlord Bomb. C9 and their dreaded Warlord. Close game to start with. CLG gets some control around the 27 mark, and they're able to go up 1-0 around the 26-30 mark. And then from there, CLG is able to maintain their control. They're basically just sitting somewhat. I think it was like Ogre 2 was just sitting in Cloud9's base almost the entire game. And like they just, C9 looked like they were running around with chickens with their heads cut off. They were struggling. And around the 24-minute mark, CLG basically they get the bomb in the base, and they kind of one by one die, but do the tactic of, let's all get 1 to 2 seconds with bomb until it plants. And it ends up working for them, and they go up 2-0. And then Royal 2 gets the laser. Everyone gets excited when he gets the laser. He gets in
looking
C9's
for that overkill again.
He gets in C9's base, and he has this awesome thing where he would plant the bomb for a second, drop it, laser and kill someone. Plant the bomb for a second, drop it, laser someone. Plant the bomb for a second. And he just kept doing it over 3 or 4 times until he eventually
just teasing him.
it was great teamwork and his team calling out that he potentially had someone trying to kill him, and he was able to completely shut it down without losing his life, and then able to keep doing the objective, and they ended up planning at 3-0. Or go up to 3-0, and it looks pretty much all but over, and, I'm not even sure if Cloud9 really got that many even arm attempts, and CLG ends up holding on to win 3-0, and they end up taking the series 3-1, knocking Cloud9 down to the loser's bracket.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see the actual stats on this game, particular game. Obviously, I don't know off the top of my head, but Snakebite on Warlord is like... He's super good on Warlord. I think that he probably does most of his great games or really good games come on Warlord. So I'd be interested to see how much he does for their team on these games.
Yeah, he's a great Portal player. And
yeah.
There are not many of those left, that people who can truly play the Portal Hop game well without completely getting wrecked constantly, and he's one of those few people I've noticed that can do that decent.
Yeah, he's just very, very good at controlling those. I mean these pro players can pretty much do it, but against the other amateurs and things like that. But when you're talking about pro against a pro, he can control portals better than most, and it really allows him to have reign over almost the entire map throughout the game. Not that he's not dying ever, but when he can assert his presence across the whole map from those portals, it really gives CLG options in games, and always lets them compete and in this case dominate.
Yeah. So third game of the
that series finished 3-1. CLG winning 3-1 against Cloud9. What do you think? Do you think the score in the series represents the level of these two teams? Okay.
I was expecting 3-2. What was the fifth? I don't even know what the fifth game type was. We didn't see it.
Yeah, well, we did later on in the day.
Yeah, but we didn't see it for this
lockdown.
round.
Yeah, it was lockdown.
It would have been lockdown.
No.
It would have been Slayer on either lockdown or Shrine. Because that's what the 2 and 5 are.
Yeah, I think it was a lockdown, but I'm not sure.
Either way, I expect them to lose the 2 Warlords. I expect them to win Lockdown King of the Hill. Sanctuary Flag, I expected Cloud9 to win. But I expected that to also be close. And I mean, I guess, 3-2, it was pretty close.
Yeah, definitely.
But I was predicting them to win that one, and then 5 would have been a toss-up between the
Yeah,
two
so I
teams.
mean, the series really could have gone either way, or maybe not the series, but any of these games could have gone either way. Like the Warlord Slayer, like you were saying, the Cloud9 controlled for most of the game, and then CLG wins it at the end.
Or the flag where they were up
And then the
2-0.
flag game, Cloud9 up 2-0, and then they drop it. So they had their like
Yeah, it could have been a
opportunities to
3-1
really
in their
close out
favor.
games. Exactly, could have been 3-1 in their favor. Could have been they take it to and win 3-2. They
They could have 3
go
0
to a
them.
game 5. Yeah, it could have
They
been.
won
They
game
could have.
3 and almost should have won game 2 and actually should have won game 1. So they should have actually 3-0'd CLG right off the start.
Yeah, coulda, woulda, shoulda. I mean, you have to give CLG a little bit of credit
Oh,
for
yeah.
coming back in those games. So, but for me personally, I think this is probably a fair representation of where these teams are at the end of the season. I think that the CLG we saw getting second place at Indianapolis is the real deal. And we'll see that throughout the rest of this tournament. And I was there Saturday morning and talking to EG, who ended up having to play CLG in the semifinal. And they were all commenting. They're like, "We wish we were the second seed, so we wouldn't have to play CLG." They said that it was by far going to be their toughest challenge of the tournament.
For sure.
So, with that said, I guess CLG winning 3-1 isn't a huge surprise to me, but Cloud9 definitely had their opportunities, and like you said, potentially even to win that series 3-0.
Yeah, it just kind of goes to show that at this level, especially when two teams are neck and neck.
It takes very little.
Yeah, it takes maybe 1 or 2 plays in an entire 15-minute game
To really change almost an entire series.
Yeah, to
decide the game and then potentially a series.
Yeah. So it's always super exciting to see at this point. Yeah. Heading into Game 3 of the day, Winter Fox versus Optic. This was another potentially exciting series. We know that last time they played.
Well, they played the online cups all the time, and they did play at Indianapolis in round 1, or not round 1, but when they matched up here in the round of 8, and actually Optic beat Winter Fox in Indianapolis.
That's right. I was gonna say I thought Optic won 3-2 last time they played.
They did. They won 3-2.
So it's a super exciting match. We get things kicked off with Sanctuary Flag, as we have mentioned before. Kind of a stalemate off the start. No one's really doing any sort of momentum, but Optic is able to go up 1-0 around the 25-30 mark. They're able to then get some of those power weapons. It's right around when rockets start coming up again and the snipers, and they keep control of the map, and they go up 2-0 right around 2 minutes later at the 23-30 mark. And Arcanum, the man, the myth, the legend, goes on a Juggernaut goes on a killing frenzy. And you think, oh, this is it. Winter Fox is turning it around, but it didn't matter. Optic was able to defend while this was going on. They kept their cool. They, slayed back, got Winter Fox back out of position, and then they're able to grab that third flag and win 3-0. And disappointing start for Winter Fox, but I feel like Winter Fox is one of those slow teams that need it. Similar to EG, where I feel like.
I mean, we've said they're very momentum based.
Yeah.
So it
But I feel like some
Optic comes out and scores that first.
In Winter Fox.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like EG kind of is too. They gotta get a little warmed up.
Mm-hmm. I mean, sometimes it takes a little bit. Like you can warm up, on the stations before you play, and get your shot warm and everything. But sometimes you're not able to get into that championship mentality right away, and it takes the competition and everything to bring you to your full potential and stuff. And I can see Winter Fox being that way a little bit. I did want to make a note though of Arcanum. He has that killing frenzy, and we actually see that later in the tournament where he's going off, and they're not able to get the objective done while he's doing that. So it's just I don't know. I'm not making a comment on that really. This particular play where he's getting a killing frenzy and they're not able to score. But you'd think that with how objective oriented Naded is right now, and Ryan Noob and stuff like that they would be able to get a little bit more objective if he's Arcanum's going off. Like we see throughout this entire tournament, he actually has a very good tournament. I feel like.
Yeah, he had a huge
despite their placing.
I think he was the outstanding player on that team this whole tournament.
I would agree.
He did very well.
I mean, he really steps up in big situations, because you look at the Season 1 finals, when he was on Noble with Ares and
APG.
APG and Maniac, and they finished third at the season 1 finals. You know, starting with the 8 seed, starting with the 8 seed, and they finished third place. So, you know, he helped step up in big situations or big high stress moments. Not necessarily always going clutch or anything like that, but he plays well in crunch time type of deal.
For sure. Heading into game 2, Warlord Slayer. Super close game between the two, and I mean nothing really exciting to talk about here other than the fact that Winter Fox is able to pull out the win 50-44 and tie the series up at 1-1, which is kind of what we expect on Warlord. We've mentioned before, Winter Fox thrives in the chaotic environment, and you know Warlord is definitely that.
For sure. It's such a hard game type to predict, though.
It does.
You know,
seem
we say like EG
a,
and Winter Fox is good at it, but it's like, I mean, it's so like we see. I forget who was it.
You can get a couple unlucky spawns can quickly. You know,
yeah, well, I'm talking. I forget. I forget which game it was later in the day, but it starts out like 12-0, and like that type of thing can just like randomly happen.
It was Liquid that it happened.
Is that what it was? Okay. Yeah, denial versus Liquid or whatever. But like that doesn't normally that type of stuff doesn't happen. But it just goes to show like what can happen in Warlord. Like you never know. You get on that bad spawn cycle and you're just like a sitting duck. So
yeah.
Anyway, Winter Fox wins that one 50-44, and going into game 3, series tied. Lockdown King of the Hill.
Yeah, in Lockdown King of the Hill, this is a map that I would expect Optic to win on, being at a little less chaotic and a little more methodical. So to get things started off, Winter Fox has a great strat off the start to get BR and snipe control. You know, they would send someone down to sword, jump that person up the library, shoot the sniper to wherever they needed it, and then have someone basically rush right across over to sniper. And through all of this, they end up basically, right off the start, they have both BR and snipe control and are immediately spawning them bottom blue for the A in B hill. Hopefully the B hill, but at least the A hill.
Yeah, so basically they have 2 people drop down to sword. One gets it, and they boost him back up to library. And then that person, I believe, he pushes bottom mid. I didn't catch where the second person, but it goes bottom mid. And then you have one person there. The other 2, so 2 drop down, 2 rush to the front door at library. Because Winter Fox does have the higher seat here, so they're spawning there. And one shoots the barrel, grabs the snipe, while the other just jumps straight across up into snipe 3.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's dying in this situation. About, I would say, 98% of the time he's going to die. But he'll probably at least get 1 kill, and potentially, like, you know, 2 just from, like, the unexpectedness of having someone in your face so fast.
Yeah, it's not a strat you normally see.
But, you know, assuming he dies or whatever, you then have one person in, you know, well, the sniper probably went back to close ramp or to BR2 bridge or whatever. And then you have a sword and library, and you have a perfect setup going into B hill, or like for the rest of A hill, and then, you know, to help you transition into B hill.
I don't think they ended up getting any time in that A hill. Then basically as soon as B hill started, Optic was able to break their setup.
But great start. Just
a great start nonetheless. If it wasn't King of the Hill, if it was like Slayer or something, that would, that's a great start, honestly, if it was a Slayer game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
So through the first rotation, Optic has the lead just slightly, 66-55. Through the second rotation, though, Winter Fox is able to battle back and take a lead of their own, 111-98. Still a super close game. Up comes the A hill with 2 minutes left. Winter Fox is able to get 6 seconds out of it. Not much, but at that, heading into the final minute, every second counts. And as Walshy
it does give them the 19-second lead. So.
Yeah, as Walshy says, it's double time, because if you're able to get time, that's time that they're not able to get it. So.
No, really, it basically is, because then, it's a lot easier to kill people that have to get into a hill.
Yeah.
They can't really fight you back for map position. They just have to get in the hill, and it's a lot easier to kill them at that point.
Yeah, the strategy more or less goes out the window, and it's a lot of just hope and pray. So final hill comes up at top BRB hill. Winter Fox controlled snipe at this point, and Optic pushed snipe, which was weird because no one was in BR top BR at this point, and all of Winter Fox was holding Snipe, and so Optic pushed Snipe. I think, like you said, like kind of opposite of what we just said, trying to get control. But by the time
it seems like,
you know,
maybe they just assumed Winter Fox was all at Library and BR Tower, and they're like, hey, let's push Snipe real fast, and then we'll all charge top mid or something along those lines.
They were there, like I'm pretty, because they were shooting like Winter Fox was shooting like top blue when someone lifted. So I think they knew they were there.
Well, okay,
and they
so
didn't see anyone in the hill. So
yeah, so if that's the case,
would have at least gone to hill, like at least sent one person over there. So maybe it was a miscommunication error. But either way, the whole team ends up going to Snipe, and they end up getting control of it. But at that point, it was a little too late, and Winter Fox ends up spawning at BR, and just controlling BR then and getting a couple more seconds and end up winning 130 to 90.
So my guess with this is like the thought process is if they're all at Snipe, we're not going to be able to go like lift top blue and push across top, and if we go bottom mid, by the time we get to BR1 and then start coming up open ramp, they're just going to kill us there too. So let's push Snipe, and if we win this battle, we can try then immediately run across top mid and try and get to the like Library and stuff and BR Tower 2, block those spawns, and now Winter Fox is spawning bottom blue, and they have control and can get the time that they need in the B hill. That's my guess on the thought, and it's kind of like a gamble. It's like if it pays off, you might have a chance.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't pay off, you have zero chance.
And they were able to win the battle, but unfortunately, there was only one of them alive at that point. So there exactly make a difference.
Had there been 3 alive, say, if they get a 4 down and 3 alive there, now you're potentially talking where you can, I don't know, throw nades over to block spawns in Library or to have someone get over there close enough to block it. I'm not sure. But it didn't work for them, and by trying that and failing, it guaranteed that they lost. And so the game finished up Winter Fox 130 to 98.
Yeah.
And I believe a few of those seconds are the nothing time. So
yeah, and I don't know. I still think maybe there was a miscommunication where one person was should have pushed over.
Yeah, very, very likely could have been. I mean, that would make more sense.
Yeah. So Winter Fox takes a 2-1 lead over Optic, heading into Warlord Bomb. Another one that, at least before the match starts, we would favor in Winter Fox because of the hecticness that is Warlord. Winter Fox comes out strong. They score within the first minute, take a 1-0 lead. They keep that map control, keep that momentum, and they score again at the 2-minute mark, going up 2-0. And then finally, Optic is able to get some control and answer back, kind of around the 25-minute mark, make it 1-2. 2 minutes later, they maintain their map control. They're able to tie it up 2-2. Looks like they're going to make a game of it. Everything's kind of finally going Optic's way. They know they need this, otherwise they're going to get kicked to the losers bracket. And then Winter Fox gets some control back. Take a 3-2 lead around the 22-minute mark. And then they trade a couple bomb arms like really quick back and forth.
It's a very, very open game in general.
Yeah. Optic scored, and then literally off spawn, Winter Fox grabbed it and scored. So at the 20-minute mark, it is 4-3 in Winter Fox's favor. Optic then tries to make a last-second push with 10 seconds left in the game to tie the game. They get the bomb halfway. Winter Fox throws it, or when I say halfway, they get the bomb armed halfway.
So at this point they're 1.5, 2 seconds away from tying the game.
Yeah. So when Winter Fox throws it out, with 6 seconds left, Maniac goes to grab the bomb and then throw it up. Because the rule right now is if the bomb is in the detonation zone, it goes to overtime.
And being armed, like if it has a tick on it,
it still would have from it being thrown out.
Obviously, yeah.
So they had the tick. All they had to do was throw it.
And I believe they had control at that point too.
Yeah.
Of the map, so.
Yeah, I think that they just cleaned out the base at that point. So
that's what I mean. So if he throws it up, most likely they're going to be able to
I
cap
don't think
that
anyone
and
was
tie
in
it.
base to grab it, but he would have been able to jump up and do something with it. Either way,
okay, I see.
He goes to grab over
extend
the
the game. Yeah,
he goes to the bomb, goes to toss it up, and the great glitch problem bug that this game has, he picks up the plasma rifle instead of the bomb, and that is it. With 6 seconds, no one was close enough to be able to grab it and throw it up as he was. So the time runs out, and Winter Fox gets the win 4-3 and takes the series 3-1.
Those damn plasma rifles. We've seen it actually quite a few times where the plasma rifle stops. Yeah, I think it's been like, I don't know, at least 3 or 4 times, between the onlines and the LAN events where grabbing the plasma rifle or grabbing a shotgun or something rather than a flag, you know, um, ends up
Yeah,
being
I mean, we've talked
the
before
difference.
about what order should they go in, and you made the comment that's like, well, what if it's rockets versus a bomb? Would you want to pick up the rockets over the bomb? And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, probably. So it's like, how do you determine what the proper order is? And I mean, I think personally, in my opinion, I think objectives should be top priority over any of the weapons. But the rules of the game are what they are, and the teams know that. And it's unfortunate that we're not saying that Winter or Optic was going to arm the bomb, because that would have just sent it to overtime. They would have still had to have gotten another one to win. But it is unfortunate that that is what caused them to lose.
Yeah, definitely. Um, I guess maybe for me, like again, we've talked about it, but I would say maybe a good solution is make the pickup radius of objectives smaller, but make it an ultimate like it takes the 100% priority when you're in that radius.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So that way, like, if you're trying to grab the flag, you always get the flag, but if you walk away from it, you just a little bit or whatever, then you can get the rockets or whatever else you want.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I don't know,
but it doesn't really matter because Halo 2 Anniversary is gone.
no more. Yeah.
Is dead, as people like to say. It is gone. So we head into the final series of the first round of the winners bracket. Denial versus Liquid. Kicking things off with Sanctuary Flag. Very neutral, very neutral start to begin with. We've talked. I mentioned earlier. Sometimes some teams seem to be a little slow, and neither team was really getting anything done. And then around the 25-minute mark, Denial is able to get the flag all the way to their blob. And then Ares comes up huge with the sniper. He's in hut with sniper, and he takes out flag. He takes out a couple spawners, and they're able to get the flag return to keep it 0-0. And then around the 19-minute mark, the Denial gets the flag all the way back to their flag this time, where basically they just have to pick it up and it'll score.
Touch it, yeah.
Yeah. And Ares again from hut comes up huge with the sniper. They end up getting the return and keeping it 0-0. And then all the way to the 16:30 mark, Denial finally gets a flag and are able to run it. Ares doesn't have a sniper.
Minute 30 left in the game.
Yeah. And they get the 1-0 win. And it was basically all Denial match. I'm not sure if Liquid did much flag running.
I think Liquid was able to do a couple little runs, but never really. I don't think they broke the 50-yard line.
Yeah, I don't think they broke halfway. And if it wasn't for Ares coming up ridiculously huge with the sniper, it would have been a 3-0 at that point. But Ares he was coming up big. And it's unfortunate that his awesome play and they still only or still end up losing, I should say. So heading into Game 2, Warlord Slayer. Right around the halfway mark, or at the halfway mark, the game was tied 25-25. And then Mikuin gets camo, and he ends up getting back-to-back double kills, which puts Denial up by 4. And then they end up keeping that momentum, and you could see kind of Liquid starting to panic at that point. They when it was 25-25, they were playing a very methodical game, keeping it close, and then you could see the panic start to set in once they started getting down by a few kills. And Denial being the superior team that they are, were able to pounce on that and end up extending their lead and winning 50-40.
Mm-hmm.
So, which takes Denial up 2-0 at this point, heading into Game 3, Lockdown, King of the Hill. First rotation, Denial's up 75-44. Denial did a great job controlling the A, B, and C hills.
I believe they got like almost all of the time.
Yeah,
like 70
almost
or
all
something
75 seconds were through A, B, and C. A lot through B, but they did a really good job on C, which you don't always see.
Yeah, just those scrappy little times.
Yeah.
I think they were getting like 10 seconds though at a time, which is impressive for C.
Yeah. And then Liquid ended up getting the D and E hill. Not much in E, but they got a lot of their time in the D hill, which gives them around
as expected.
that 44 seconds. So through that first rotation, Denial's up 75-44. After the second rotation, Denial, the score is basically doubled at that point. It's very similar to what we saw. Denial's up 150-78 at this point. With 1 minute left, the game's over. Denial is up 150-87, which is greater than the 60-second gap. So at that point, the game was already over, so I didn't write down what the final score was. But it doesn't matter.
Good
man. It doesn't matter as Denial takes the series 3-0.
Yeah, that's our first sweep of the day.
Yeah, kicking Liquid down to the losers.
I don't know if 3-0 is like necessarily super fair to Liquid. Potentially, I guess maybe it's fair in this case because I feel like Denial definitely won all 3 of these games. But I don't think if they play this series, 10 times or whatever, I think probably 9 of them, 8 of them, maybe Liquid wins at least 1 game. So I think Liquid is probably a little bit better than 3-0, but in this case, with these game types, Denial is going to win these ones.
Yeah. Liquid always seems to be able to show flashes of being a top-tier team, but they're only ever flashes. They're never able to...
Yeah. And you have to remember that, aside from Ninja, this is a very young team. Ares has been around for a little while too, and I don't mean like young, like age-wise, but young in their experience. It's an inexperienced team, like especially with Spartan and Shooter. Spartan, it appears to have all the talent in the world and potential and everything like that, because it does seem like when they make plays, it largely comes from Spartan, I would say. And so it'll be interesting to see where his career goes, like with Halo 5 and stuff like that. But they're inexperienced, and so I think this is probably a fair representation. Losing to Denial at least 3-0. Yes and no. I'm not surprised with these 3 game types that they got 3-0'd, but I could see them winning other game types.
Yeah. So through the first round, we're 4 for 4 on predictions.
Yeah, we are. We're pretty awesome like that.
We're looking good.
Yeah.
Not that those are that hard to predict, but
no, I mean the higher seed won on all of them. So
yeah, the only one I think that we argued a little bit on was CLG and C9, and we ended up going with CLG. So and that definitely was
yeah, we took my pick there with CLG, and then Winter Fox and Optic. I think we talked about it a little bit, but both kind of agreed Winter Fox.
Yeah, we definitely debated it. For a little while, but it clearly, I think it just made sense to go with Winter Fox at that point. So, losers round 1 rounds out Friday night. And for losers round 1, we have C9 versus Excellence and Optic versus Liquid. We'll get things started off with C9 versus Excellence. Warlord Flag is the first game type. Right around the 28-40 mark, C9 has map control and they're able to go up 1-0. 26 mark, Excellence answers back to tie at 1-1, and it begins. Someone drops out, and you will hear this potentially. At this point there were like 20,000 people watching.
Yeah, there should be no excuses for this. Like
night. Yeah. People there.
I think we peaked at like 23. Actually, right around 23 for most days, I believe.
I know 26 was the high on whatever day it was, probably Sunday. But even for a Friday night, like they were up in the 20s, and then you can't have this happen. And I remember, just not to get too off track, but during E3, Twitch was broadcasting E3, and YouTube was as well, and it was during the Star Wars Battlefront's world debut trailer, or whatever it was. And Twitch went down. And that was, next to Fallout 4, that is arguably the biggest game people wanted to see. And see gameplay of. And for Twitch to go down during that point, it killed them. Everyone went to YouTube, and it's a bad thing. And, I found out later from hearing people talk, it wasn't Twitch's fault. It was whoever the third-party company is that set up their equipment, or I don't know. I know it had to do with a third party, but it doesn't matter. People that are watching it at that point, they don't know that it's a third party. They just think it's Twitch.
Yeah, and in this
having
case,
problems.
Xbox Live or so basically, what I found out what was happening is even when you're like quote unquote on LAN, it's not actual LAN. You're playing online, so they actually have to download their profiles to the Xbox, connect to Xbox Live, and then set up normal custom games through Xbox Live. So there's no LAN like environment in place on Xbox One. Period. To connect to another Xbox, you have to go through online.
Huh? I was not aware of that.
Yeah, so it's an actual Xbox One thing, not necessarily Master Chief Collection. To have any connection between Xbox to Xbox, you have to connect online. So what was happening is one of these Xboxes was dropping its ping to Xbox Live momentarily, and so it kicked them out of the game.
It's weird though that we didn't see it
What's that?
we didn't see it until this tournament. Like this is the first time, and for as
Yeah,
often
well, I
as
mean,
it's
it
as
happened.
you
Yeah,
will
it didn't
I
definitely
mean,
didn't happen. I believe in some of the other pros, like from what I heard from them, is that they believed that it was the routers at the that they were using at the ESL
I was
studios.
gonna say if it was
Um,
just one Xbox, you think they would replace the Xbox? So it had to be
yeah,
multiple different
no, so
Xboxes
it
everywhere.
was a router issue where the Xbox wasn't being able to communicate to Xbox Live through the router very well or something. Like they were just packet loss or something like that. Maybe the routers need to be reset. I don't know, but it boils down to me, poor design. I feel like an Xbox, like through a LAN cable, should be able to communicate to another one and doesn't need Xbox Live. So the fact that it does just kind of like opens the door for those type of problems. In this case, a router being faulty or multiple routers or anything like that. Particular ports on the router, I don't know, but it made it for a frustrating weekend
Yeah, and I to
for
get back.
viewers and players, really.
Yeah, I mean, and to get back to the point, like if HCS wants to be taken seriously, especially heading into Halo 5 and everything. You got to try to bring as many people in, and to have things like this going on in the biggest tournament, of
Of the year.
HCS at that point,
Yeah.
of the year, yeah, in HCS
Well,
history.
period. Yeah.
You can't have these things happen, and the reason I brought up the E3 thing is people see this, they might not realize that it's not necessarily ESL's fault, and that it might be Microsoft's fault.
Yeah.
But to them,
In this case, I actually do think it was ESL's fault.
Yeah.
Maybe their routers were old, need to be replaced. I don't know. I can't comment specifically on
and
any
we
of
see
that,
later
but
on Saturday, like Xbox Live went down for like 2 hours, and they couldn't.
yeah,
play
that
because
was
of
like.
it. So it's just.
Yeah, and that goes back to like why do they have to be able to play like have Xbox Live to be able to play? That's like my issue with like Microsoft in this and in the way that the Xbox One was designed.
Yeah.
Potentially, like someone would. I think it was I was talking with Kelby, who is Seoshin. He works for Good Game and Twitch and stuff like that. But I was talking with him, and he was saying, I think it was him at least, was saying that Microsoft should make some like consoles that they don't sell. If they really want it to be where you have to connect online or whatever, fine, so be it. But they should make some Xboxes that have LAN capability, and then just send those to ESL so that they can host tournaments for their biggest game.
Yeah.
Without having to connect to Xbox Lives, and they don't have these problems.
Yeah.
Yeah. Back to the actual tournament, though.
The point of all that is, something, someone somewhere screwed up, and whether it was ESL or Microsoft's fault, it doesn't matter. It all comes back on HCS not being taken seriously by people that potentially could have been getting invested this weekend. So, yeah, back to, so we're restarting.
Yeah, if you've forgotten,
Warlord.
the flag is 1-1.
Yeah, it is 1-1. We're restarting Warlord flag with about 10 minutes left, tied up at 1-1. And on the restart, C9 comes out strong again, similar to Warlord A, version A, where they come out, go score 40 seconds in at the 29-20 mark, and go up 2-1. And Excellence immediately answers back. Right at the 29
very
mark.
very deja vu to what
happened.
exactly.
So the score is now 2-2. Remember that the game will end at 20 instead of 15. At 27:40, C9 goes up 3-2. 25:30, C9 is able to get all four down for Excellence and go up 4-2. around 24:45, Excellence finally gets some control, and they get C9 4 dead, and they're able to find their answer back 3-4. And then Victory X gets Camo
Predator
Shotgun,
combo.
the Predator combo, and that is proven to be one of the biggest momentum changers on that map.
If you can get away with the camo, a lot of times it's difficult to get away, especially when both coaches know the time of it. But if you can get away with it and then grab a shotgun, super powerful. Yeah. Camo in general is very powerful if you get away with it, but you throw the shotgun in on it, and it's just lethal.
Yeah, and so they end up getting a flag.
Speaking of, lethal does love that combo.
Yeah. A lot of players do that. I think any pro that can get it wants it.
Yeah, definitely.
Either way, Victor X with the Predator combo leads C9 to the win 5-3, and C9 takes a 1-0 lead on Warlord flag. So they won a Warlord flag. They won a Warlord game. Good for them.
Yeah, crazy stuff happens.
We move into Sanctuary Slayer. Nothing really exciting to talk about here. C9 was up by 15 kills fairly early on and kind of had that lead for a while. And then towards the end, Excellence started bringing it back a little bit, but C9, was a little too late. C9 a little too strong. They ended up winning 50-44 to take a 2-0 lead over Excellence. Excellence, on the ropes of their tournament being over on Friday night, which was, I guess it's not bad because Kobe lives basically there. I'm not sure where the rest of the team
it's about
close enough.
Close enough.
He didn't fly to say
California's
the least, so
big.
For any teams that you come all the way out here to go home on Friday night has to not feel well, to say the least.
No, it definitely, it's rough, but when there's only 8 teams, that's going to happen.
Yeah. So we head into Game 3, Lockdown Ball. I've mentioned before that Lockdown Ball is something that C9 usually is great at. And they end up getting the win here, but not as dominant as I would expect. They end up only winning 200-193 in a very close match.
Yeah, that's a close 7-second match,
Yeah,
so,
a very close match, but
I believe it was like 193, 195 or something like that at one point, and then I don't know the player on Cloud9, but they made a good play and were able to take the ball back and then just kind of scrap out the last 5 seconds or so to win that game.
Yeah, it was a very close game, and either way, C9, lockdown objectives seem to be one of their better game types. Yeah. And they end up getting the win here, 3-0. The only other real 3-0 that we'll see the rest of the tournament. The other one was Denial Liquid, which we just talked about. And sending Excellence home in 8th place with, was it $3,000?
Yeah, 7th, 8th place. They never actually played any consolation for the 5, 6, and 7, 8 placings. So yeah, they win $3,000. You split that 4 ways, and it's not a ton, but it definitely it makes the trip worth it at least. And again, some more experience.
So, not to get too off topic, but how much does a coach usually get as far as kickback goes?
It depends. Usually nothing. I don't really think it's a coach's job to take any prize money. Okay. But I do think that it's the team's job to
tip
get
him,
the coach
so to speak, for his service.
Well, maybe, but I would say more so just get the coach cover his costs. I mean, he shouldn't have any winnings, really, in my opinion, but he shouldn't have any costs.
Because I did see an interesting, I want to say it was on the Team Beyond forums, that they were trying to figure out how much Towie has made coaching. And whoever was doing the calculations was splitting everything EG1 5 ways.
Yeah, that doesn't happen. Towie, so he actually gets a salary through EG, sponsored through them, and gets a monthly salary, which is the same as the player's salary. So he's doing very well there through, as far as what a coach you might normally expect. But as far as placings in the tournament winnings, I don't believe that he's ever really taken prize money. I believe that his teams have always, compensated his time through, getting his hotel, his airfare and stuff like that. And then, a little bit, especially when you win a big tournament like this, I think EG, we got $75K. So you split that, 4 ways, and they can each, chip in, $500 to $1,000 for him. And it's not, it doesn't break their bank or really take away from what they won. But I can't comment for sure if they've given him or anything. But I do know that he hasn't ever been like, hey, I want this much of the prize. I want 20% or 10% or anything like that.
Okay. I was just curious because it's always something I wondered but never really knew the answer.
Yeah, for me, I guess if coaching got big enough, or like not coaching, but like Halo got big enough to where the prize pools were significant and the coaches really mattered. Towie does, but like so if a lot of them were, and there was prize money that was like big enough to split really with the coach. To me, teams should cover the coaches all their costs, their food, their hotel, their airfare, for the duration of the tournament or whatever, and then probably like 2 to 3% of the prize pool, or of what they win.
So Excellence goes home with $3,000. That's $750 a person. Split 4 ways.
Yeah.
I think that covers.
It'll cover their
hotel
airfare
and
hotel.
most likely their airfare. I'm not sure where everyone's from on the team. So if anyone's East Coast,
two of them are Northern California. So Shooter probably, or not Shooter, he's on Liquid. I have no idea where.
Yeah, if you're East Coast, you might lose just a little bit of money. But they also have Excellence helping them out. Yeah. Probably, I know Excellence probably is chipping something in somewhere. So either way,
as far as I know, actually, Excellence doesn't provide any unless they place top 4 or something like that. They don't get any.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Support like financially from Excellence, just like jerseys and some gear and things like that, like controllers and other whatever microphones maybe, or webcams, or for streaming. I don't know, something like that. But no actual like travel stipend or compensation that way.
All right. So heading into the other losers game of round 1 is Optic versus Liquid. And this I expected to be super close. And it doesn't disappoint as we get things started here on Warlord Flag. Around the 27-minute mark, Liquid is holding complete map control, goes up 1-0. Not until about 5 minutes later, Optic finally is able to answer 1-1 right around the 22:30 mark. They keep that map control rolling, going up 2-1 at the 21-minute mark. Right around 16:30, Liquid, they don't panic like we saw kind of against Denial earlier. They take their time. Ninja's able to kind of come up big with a few kills in Optic space, and it ends up leading to a cap to go up to tie 2-2, and then we kick it to overtime. Around the 12:30 mark, Liquid has a flag at the base, on their base, ready to score. Basically another situation where you grab it and you score as you grab it. And they go 4 dead, and Optic gets the return, which was huge for them. So at the 7-minute, or was that maybe maybe it was at their plat? It wasn't at their. I can't remember. It was super close. So either way, it was it was close enough. Around the 7-minute mark, Liquid gets a flag. This was the plat. They get it to their plat, and they can't convert. So it's another one where they were right there.
Yeah, both teams are getting opportunities right here.
Yeah. So we hit the 4:30 mark. Optic finally gets a flag run going. They get all the way to their grenades and go for the toss, but the person who went for the toss dies, and it falls back down to the nades and ends up getting returned by one of the Liquid members. And then all the way to the 2:45 mark. So at this point, they've been playing for a little over 27 minutes in one Warlord game, which is
insane for Warlord. Normally you're not going to see a Warlord game go without a cap for because right here they played from 15 to 2:45, so they've played for a good 12 minutes with no cap, and that's like unheard of for Warlord. At some point a 4-down happens and someone capitalizes because it's so small. It's a lot easier to capitalize on a 4-down, but not able to. But it was very back and forth.
And Warlord's a very draining map just on your hands because. With Lockdown and Shrine, when you spawn, you're not necessarily going to be shooting, and you're going to have time to move around. But basically on Warlord, you don't stop shooting, and that's what it comes down to. And for 27 minutes straight of just pulling the trigger,
mentally too, it's a long game.
Like too. I cannot. I don't think I've ever played a 27-minute match on Warlord in any games let alone a competitive one. But either way, at the 2:45 mark, Liquid is able to finally get a score, and they end up winning 3-2 in an awesome game to see. And I was.
Did you see the stats on this? Like I think there was like a 70 or 80 bomb or something like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you play for 27 minutes on
No,
Warlord, where
exactly.
you're
You're
going to
gonna
get the
assume
most
that, but
kills.
like, it's just crazy thinking like that many kills.
Yeah, you see players put up a 40 bomb after a 15-minute game. This was almost double that, so I'm not surprised to
Yeah,
see a 70 or 80
yeah.
bomb. Yeah, that might be the most kills I've ever
Seen
seen.
in a competitive HCS game. Yeah,
A competitive Halo game in general. Yeah,
yeah.
I know there's been other games that have gone to like overtimes where they've restarted the map,
Yeah,
and
I believe
maybe
I've seen a Sanctuary flag go 45 minutes
if
before.
yeah the season HCS season 1 finals they had to keep replaying a Slayer game on
Yeah,
there.
that went a long time just because of that. But like
So if
of
you
actual
collect
like game time, I think it was a flag is the record of 45 minutes. So they did the
yes
whole full 15-minute overtime and then 15 more minutes before someone capped.
yeah so if
This
you
was back in like Halo 2, I believe.
Yeah, so like I mean,
But
if you collectively add up the scores of some of the overtime games where they've had to restart the maps, maybe they got near that. But
yeah,
at least in one straight sitting, that's
yeah, probably
that's
up there.
yeah. So we had into game 2, Sanctuary Slayer. Optic was able to go up by over 10 kills at the halfway mark. It was like 25-15, something like that. And they ended up holding on to win, but it was another match where the Liquid ends up pulling it back and getting it dangerously close to end up winning it themselves. But Optic pulls it out 50-46, and they end up tying the series up 1-1, heading into Game 3 of Lockdown Ball. At the 8:15 mark, the greatest betrayal I've ever seen. By
the
Ares
sword.
on Ninja. Though that wasn't even that. That was different. That was Optic who did that
Okay.
one. That was Ace who got startled and killed
That's
his
right.
teammate.
That's right.
I think it was in this match though that happened.
Yeah.
But this one was Ares was on the ramp towards S1, and there was someone in S1 or someone coming to S1 from bottom mid, something like that. So he went to he was walking down the ramp and he went to throw a sticky grenade in there. And out of his just as he starts throwing it, out of his peripheral vision, Ninja comes in, and he just sticks Ninja in the back, and then Ninja basically suicides into the person S1, and he had the person in S1
Oh
died.
yeah.
But
It was
he had to
basically
get the betrayal.
Ninja became a suicide grunt.
Yeah, and it was just it's just one of those things where it's just pure timing.
Sorry, we got a plane or a helicopter or something.
Something flying over, but yeah, so it was just it made me laugh just the timing of how it worked out.
Yeah, I do remember that.
So at the 7:30 mark, which is the halfway point in the game, Liquid is up 70-48. It's a fairly low scoring game up to this point. Liquid, they just kind of keep adding on. Spartan's doing some work for his team, and then Liquid ends up going up 100-86.
Yeah, talking about Spartan going huge though. This is the play it was just it seemed to me it's a stupid decision by Spartan what he did, but it worked out phenomenally. So he's going across top mid, and he jumps up as he jumps up to S3. He takes a beat down, but then gets the beat down against the other person, gets the kill. So he's one shot, and then Flamesword's top blue shooting at him while he's doing it or whatever. Somehow he lived through that. But instead of just going back towards Snipe 2 or something, he decides to jump up when he's absolute one shot. Doesn't really have information. Maybe he got a call out, but I don't think so based on what happened on Flamesword. But he jumps up to challenge Flamesword, who's full shield. And he's flying off S3 to top mid while Flamesword's top blue. And actually it startles Flamesword basically and forces him to drop to bottom blue. And then Spartan just jumps straight back from top mid to Snipe 2, drops down the hole, and at this point he's got a full shield again, and gets another melee BR on somebody else, and then it grenades a doorway as they come in to challenge him at Snipe 1 again for the quick double kill. So it was just an incredible play. I think if Flamesword was prepared at all, he would have got that kill easily. And 99% of the time anyway, he's going to get that kill on Spartan, jump flying out at him one shot. But, in this case, it worked out, and Spartan just went, nuts and really helped them get control of the map, with the triple kill. But it wasn't an actual triple kill, but it was basically a triple kill and forced Flamesword to go bottom blue. So the only spawner or person left on Liquid was Flamesword at bottom blue. So, I mean, a huge play for them and really helped them, like you said, take the lead right there to 186. It's not a huge lead, but they get that, and then it leads to them just completely dominating the map after that. All of Optic spawning bottom blue with Flamesword, Liquid takes control, and they win 200-95 actually for the rest of the game.
Yeah, they after that point, it was pretty much all Liquid until they hit the 200 mark. And like I said, at the halfway point in the game, they only had 70 seconds, and then they end up winning by score instead of letting it go to the full 12 minutes. So they definitely did a lot of dominating.
And I really do think it came off of that one big play from Spartan. You know, it set up some things, but also the momentum, like emotionally. You know, it gets him pumped up and gets their team pumped up and really helped them, take control of the game and win it convincingly.
Yeah, so we move into Game 4. Yes, Game 4. Sanctuary Bomb. Around the 24-minute mark, Optic gets control of the map with Sniper Ring 3, and they're able to get the plant after sacrificing 3 of themselves, just kind of running in one by one, all getting a little bit of time until eventually the plant goes off. They take a 1-0 lead. And then that is basically the rest of the game. I don't know if Liquid ever even got a bomb to start arming. Optic did a great job of getting that score and then playing.
Yeah, and I don't believe
but playing a defense.
Yeah, they just kind of like stalled the game out at that point for the last 9 minutes or so, and take that game 1-0 and send the series to a Game 5.
Yeah, so it's all tied up 2-2. We head into the dramatic Warlord Slayer. Oh, this was the one.
Yeah, it could be chaos. Anything could happen. But like we mentioned earlier, actually what happens is Optic starts 11-0. I actually think it was 12-0, kind of.
It was kind of
like 12-1
kill came almost simultaneously. So I went with 11-0 instead. But yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely 11-0 and then like 12-0 for like a half a second and then 12-1.
Yeah, and the audience was going nuts. Like,
oh yeah. After every single kill, the audience was going even more nuts, which you expect. I mean, Warlord, how do you do that? You kill the team 3 times without dying. That's that's unheard of, basically. So I mean, Optic gets that huge start. It's almost like a handicap to start the game.
Yeah, and the rest of the game though, it was basically even.
After that point, once Liquid got off their spawn trap, basically.
Yeah, and Optic ends up winning by 11 kills, 50-39. So they end up winning. Taking the series 3-2.
Yeah, it came down to that huge start right
there. Yeah, if you take away that start, it's 39-39 after that point. Mm-hmm. So it was neck and neck once the game once Liquid decided that the game had begun.
Yeah,
maybe they were getting back from a bathroom break for the first few minutes. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't even know. I feel like after that first 4-0, 5-0, probably they 6-0, they're like shocked and they don't know what's happening anymore. They start trying to make plays, but not working as a team. I don't know. But what surprises me is that their coach, Elamite, who's national champion, and personally I thought one of the top 3-4 players in the game for Halo 3. And so for him to be their coach and allow them to get to that 11-0 or to lose 11-0 basically in the beginning, you'd think that he would have been able to immediately be like, hey, calm down, or something like that. But huge out of Optic, and they take that game, win 3-2, and advance the top 6 to play on Saturday.
Yeah.
I think this is the first time we got a match wrong, actually.
Yeah, this is where you were even texting me. You're just like,
I know, I texted you. I jinxed it.
I think it was right when they were Liquid was up 2-1 too, and you're just like, if they win this, we go 6 for 6 on our predictions, and then they lost Game 4, and then start on Game 5, and I'm just like, oh, we blew it. Yeah,
jinxed it, but so we got that one wrong, and I know we debated on that one actually for a little bit too. I think we
both agreed that Optic was the better team. We were calling the upset. Liquid was
exactly. You want to call an upset every now and then, otherwise our day 1 predictions. There was no upsets day 1, so our 7 and 8 seeds going in, they lose on day 1 and finish 7/8. Liquid also getting that 3,000. Not great for them, but. They probably were hoping to get at least top 6 and probably top 4 is their goal. Whereas Excellence's goal was probably to get top 6. So I'm sure that was a disappointment for Liquid.
Yeah, Liquid, Excellence, officially 7th, 8th, both getting the $3,000 prize, as we mentioned.
Yeah. So that wraps it up for Friday night.
Yeah.
Going into Saturday, this is when I show up, actually, and I was at the venue for Saturday. So I got to see these ones.
Yeah, we get things kicked off with EG versus CLG. Probably the hottest match of the day.
Yeah,
one
definitely the
Saturday
one
we
I was
had.
looking forward to most. Because after watching CLG against Cloud9, I was like, to me, this looks a lot more like the indie CLG than any of the others that we'd seen. So, in talking to, I mentioned you earlier, Kelby. He's works for Twitch and actually good game and somehow it's like the sponsor of EG. Basically, he does all the contracts and stuff for EG. So he's like firmly in EG's camp. And talking to him and stuff, and he was saying that this is the matchup he was most worried about with CLG. So,
Yeah, so we get
and
things
then like I
kicked off.
told you, like EG saying that they wish they were the
Yeah,
2 seed and didn't have to play CLG.
yeah. So we get things kicked off. Warlord Flag. Uh, CLG comes out swinging at the 29-minute mark. They're able to go up 1-0. After EG gets their flag all the way back to their base, they overextend, which is, we don't characteristically see EG make a mistake like that, but they overextend, and they fail to convert, and it lets CLG be able to run the flag back to their base, take the 1-0 lead at the 29-minute mark.
Yeah, and actually like EG had like 2 flags, I think, like right there. And couldn't convert, and it's just very uncharacteristic of them. They're the perennial like clinical team. Basically, they don't make mistakes. Like they're very
Yeah, you don't see them
efficient.
overextend.
Yeah, they're very efficient at all
You will
times.
see them let a flag go if they need to, and this was one case where they should have, but it was so close that they just overextended a little too much and ended up costing them.
I was actually kind of talking about the next couple.
Yeah, the next thing, 28-minute mark, Cloud is able to return off the flag, which is on EG's plat. It's basically right there, just waiting to be tossed in, and he's able to return it from underneath. And this is the first time.
I mentioned this on a podcast earlier where I was almost sure that it happened online. I was like certain that it did, but I was like I didn't know that was possible. So I was like, I feel like it happened. And
it's the first time we've at least seen it on the big stage like this.
Yeah, definitely. And it actually happened like multiple times. I don't know if it was just in this game,
I think
but multiple times.
I only saw CLG do it. I only saw.
Yeah,
CLG
well, it happened throughout the tournament. Actually, I saw it in another game too at some point.
I
believe.
Could have,
Maybe
I
I
only
didn't,
remember
but
seeing CLG do it.
Yeah.
It.
But anyway, returned it from through the floor.
Yeah,
it was the only opportunity because I believe Lunchbox was running it and decided to throw it on plat. I think he was lifting and was about to die. And rather than it just fall like at the bottom of the lift, as he's lifting, he turns and threw it onto the plat, so it was harder to return. And then someone was coming up the ramp, could grab it and throw it in and cap or whatever. But then, like you said, Cloud coming in, jumping, returning it from underneath the plat through the floor.
Yeah, I mean, I know in Halo 2 Classic that was something that people did a lot. Like I remember that being a big thing.
Well, in Halo 3 you could do that as well through like narrows. Remember you could return through the floor.
Yeah. So like,
and then
I'm
also
not
in Countdown, I believe on Reach you could do it as well. Like it would jetpack to the ceiling and you could do it.
Yeah, so I'm not surprised to see it. I'm just surprised that no other pros had been doing it to this point.
Yeah, we just hadn't really seen it happen much. I mean, I think they all knew it was a possibility.
It makes me wonder if they knew or not. Because, I mean, even the announcers had no idea. The
announcers didn't. After the match, talking to...
pros actually knew.
Well, at least I know all of EG did, and so I assume almost all pros do know about it. After the game, when I was talking to EG, they confirmed that they knew about it and everything, and we're just like... Can't believe we let it happen though, and stuff like that.
Yeah. So that was at the 28-minute mark. And then a minute later, at the 27-minute mark, once again, EG overextends trying to get a flag, and
this was a fumble. Actually, I forget who it was. It was an actual fumble. They were running it up the ramp, and then like missed the pickup and dropped it off the ramp, or when they were juggling up the ramp to get ready to throw it into their base. They juggled it off the edge of the ramp and then like had to go back down to try and get it. And it was an actual fumble. And then like they overextended at that. I think it was, I'm not trying to like call out or say it's his fault or anything, but I think it was Lethal that did it.
Yeah, that's the name that's popping in my mind too. So I think that might have been him. But either way, they overextend and CLG takes advantage of this to go up 2-0 on the number 1 seeded team, EG. 26-minute mark, CLG is keeping that map control. They go 3-0 Just a pure shock to EG at this point. But then a minute later, at the 25-minute mark, EG finally, they get CLG 4 down. They establish map control. They're able to score to go 1-3. A few minutes later, at the 21:30 mark, the game slowed down for a little bit. Lethal gets camo. I don't think he had Predator combo. He just had the camo in his VR. But he uses it to help run a flag to go 2-3. At the 20-minute mark, CLG gets another cap, kind of a sneaky cap. Like I don't remember it happening. Just kind of next thing you know, they showed on the monitors.
Yeah, it was like off screen, actually
that they scored it, and they got 4-2, and it looks like that was going to be the death blow. 18-minute mark, Lethal this time with the Predator combo.
Yeah, and he had a lot of camos actually in this game. I remember.
He
but
helps
like
his team.
3, 4, 5 in a row actually, but only a couple of them were able to allow them, to capitalize.
But he uses this Predator combo. He helps his team to score 3-4, and Snakebite gets disconnected.
Yeah.
So we have to restart the game. It begins 4-3 with 2 minutes and 25 seconds to play.
And to know this could have very easily been a 5-4 right there. Had Lethal not fumbled the one and had the one not got returned from below the plat, that could have been all 5 caps for EG.
Yeah. So the game starts back up with 2 minutes and 25 seconds left, but nobody is able to really do anything in the short amount of time. And CLG ends up winning 4-3, going up a big 1-0 against EG early on.
Yeah, and that was, I think a shock to a lot of people that CLG coming out of the gates and beating EG and everything. So
we move into Game 2, Shrine Slayer. Around the 10-minute mark, 5 minutes into the game, EG's up 29-19, and then EG basically puts the pedal to the metal, and they end up winning 50-38. They had the lead.
Yeah, big statement win, really.
Yeah, it wasn't. I think right off the start they got the first kill and just kept that lead going and didn't let up. They needed to show. They needed to show themselves that they were ready. I think they needed. It was a big win for them. Kind of show CLG that they're not to be messed with, and it was just all around what we expect out of EG. Heading into Game 3, Warlord Ball. Around the 8-minute mark, which is 4 minutes into the game, CLG has a slight lead at 45-25. And then EG just kind of starts to run away with it. They're the first to hit the halfway mark, 100-60, at about 5 minutes left. At 4 minutes left, they're up 110-80. 30-second lead. They're kind of trading back points back and forth at this point. CLG's starting to regain a little bit, but not.
Yeah, CLG they're slowly getting back into it. First it was 40-second lead, then it was 30. Now it's 20 seconds.
Yeah,
it's 100-120.
Mark, it's 100-120. So CLG, they're slowly trying to creep back in. And then it hits the 2-minute mark, and it's actually 120-120.
Yeah.
Tied all up with 2 minutes left. CLG gets a slight lead with the 1 minute mark. 145-134, and then
11 seconds can be a big deal, like with 1 minute left, because it really, like I've been saying earlier, puts the pressure on EG. They're the ones that have to go and get the ball. They can't just play ball it and just keep it out in the middle and nade it and stuff like that. They have to actually control it and stuff. But EG, they're the clutch team. That's what they do, and they're able to step up. And with 30 seconds left, they now have a 7-second lead. Yeah,
they lock down the map in the final minute, basically. And don't allow CLG even near the ball. They go up 148, 141 with 30 seconds, and then end up closing it out 173, 141. The game would have been mathematically over right around the 17, 20 seconds. We'll say 20 seconds left to go. Right around that.
Yeah, I think, it was like 160 to 141. So it was like 21 seconds left, I think.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
And that puts up EG 2-1 over CLG. CLG had the strong start, but now they're looking like they're about to get kicked to the losers. We head into Game 4, Shrine Bomb. At the 26:30 mark, EG has complete map control right off the start, and then at the 26:30 mark, they're able to plant the bomb, take a 1-0 lead. EG follows immediately up with another arm. They don't lose control. The one person dies that plants, but other than that, they basically stayed at in height and kept controlling the spawns.
Mm-hmm.
And we're able to get another, almost get another bomb. And then CLG just barely. I think the bomb couldn't have been more than a second away.
They just stopped it, but then there was no one else to follow up to plant it for EG, and CLG clears it out and kind of resets the map a little.
Yeah, EG was very close to taking a 2-0 lead, and CLG barely defends.
Yeah.
And so at the 20-minute mark, with the sniper, he gets to ring 3 with it, and he basically does work on the spawn trap, clears the way for the plant, tie it up 1-1. The 19-minute mark, Snipe Down gets the sniper ring 3, and he basically goes on the spawn trap, killing people as they come up, and it leads them to get a 2-1 plant.
And we can see how important sniper at ring 3 is when trying to get these plants.
Yeah, we see it a lot throughout the tournament, how the sniper was consistently going ring 3, whether it be flag or...
Yeah, I mean, you see it a lot more. You see ring 3 utilized a lot more at the pro level than you do like in the playlist or anything like that. If you play playlist, most people, they'll snipe from like carbine or something like that, but not as often are people ring 3. It's almost always the pros are at ring 3. And it's partly because they're so good at doing those jumps. Both sides from both
they do it flawlessly.
The jump up and the like P bridge.
I still have to like stop when I'm doing the jump to ring 3. I have to jump in, I have to stop, turn, and then do it. They don't even. They just do it one fell motion. They can come up and down.
Yeah, they're very good at
that. Arcanum. I was watching Arcanum, and he would jump up left. Someone would shoot him. He'd like fall down and then immediately jump back up right to the right side, and he was just like hopping back and forth at will, nailing every single jump. And it definitely shows that they put in the time to put these little things that you don't think matter. They kind of do at the pro level.
Yeah, their movements pretty dang good. But yeah, so Snipe Down, he gets up there, does some work with a sniper of his own. EG caps or plants 1, and they get 2-1. 16 minutes and 30 seconds left, so really a minute 30 left in the game.
The goat.
The goat. Ogre 2 starts chewing grass. Yeah, now he goes on the killing spree. He traps EG in their rock twice in a row and allows CLG, obviously he has hope and everything like that, but he really, he got into the base and took control. And helped spawn EG in the rocks and then kill him again and allowed CLG to plant 2-2, send it to overtime.
And guess what happens?
My money's on disconnect.
Ding, ding, ding. Someone disconnects. I don't remember who it was. Either way, we have to replay. At least this time it's a little easier to keep track of as far as
it's in overtime, and so it doesn't really matter what the time is. So
I think the only thing... No, that was a later game I was thinking of. Never mind. 5 minutes into overtime, though, Roy goes ring 3 with the sniper, and he's able to basically rip through CLG spawning on rocks, and EG gets the plant to win 3-2 and take the series 3-1, kicking CLG to the losers bracket and avoiding what they thought was going to be one of their tougher matchups.
Yeah, they get away with the 3-1. Same score line as against Excellence, but all of these games, barring the one Warlord Slayer or Shrine Slayer, where they dominated all the others, they either lost or were very close. They had with 1 minute left, they're tied on ball basically, and then then they go into overtime on Shrine Bomb. So very, very close games, even though the series is 3-1.
Yeah. So EG moves on, CLG drops to the losers bracket. We head into our second series of the winners round 2, Winter Fox versus Denial. We get things kicked off, Warlord Flag. I'm super excited for this series. Winter Fox has got the best of Denial the last few times they had played. So I was super excited to see how this was going to play out. I think we had in our predictions, we had Winter Fox winning here, so...
I went with you. I let you pick this one.
Yeah.
I was not on board for the record, but I went with it, so I do take responsibility for our prediction of Winter Fox as well.
We get things kicked off, Warlord Flag. Denial comes out strong, and they score first. The 28-minute mark going up 1-0, and a disconnect happens. We get the restart going. Denial needs 4. Winter Fox needs 5 and it's going to end at 20:30, which means we have 9 minutes and 30 seconds of play. So on the restart, at the 29-minute mark, Winter Fox basically comes out super strong this time with their starting strat, and they get a cap right off the start to tie at 1-1. 28-minute mark, they keep that momentum going, they keep the control going, they're able to get a 2-1 lead. The 27-minute mark, Hines is able to quickly answer back to run a flag through the top of the map, which you don't always see.
That top
Usually
mid run.
You see him go off the side of the base, maybe to shotgun and then do the jump up the top, but he basically he went just straight. Quickest point from
Literally
A to B is that
across,
straight line, so he went straight through top, and it ends up working out for them. The score gets tied at 2-2. The 25-minute mark, Winter Fox is able to kind of scrap another flag to go up 3-2. It was very scrappy, to say the least. They didn't really have map control. No one had map control, and it just kind of the spawns worked out in their favor, and they were able to get the score. 21-30 mark. This time they do have control. They get to dial 4 down multiple times in a row, and it leads to a 4-2 lead. But denial to not to be denied at the 21-minute mark. They need
1 minute left. They need 2
Left.
flags. Yeah.
30 seconds left because it ends at 20-30. They need 2 flags.
Right. I mean, after Winter Fox scored the 4th, you know, denial needs 2 flags in a minute just to tie.
They basically, pull out just the bum rush strat, and it actually works. They're able to get a flag to put it 3-4, but then they end up going 3 down. And
in doing so, they die. And unfortunately, that's the end, and Winter Fox wins that game 1, 4-3.
They won 4-3, and my prediction's looking strong.
Yeah, it is.
Coming out strong, heading into game 2, Shrine Slayer. Winter Fox starts. They right off the start, they boost Nated to rank 3, and we talked earlier about Winter Fox having that awesome start on lockdown, and this is another awesome start where right off the start, instead of rushing either through Bond or through jump up to go get the rockets where you're going to get naded, because the teams know that those are the only 2 ways in, they find a third way in, and that's a quick boost up to ring 3. Then they do it to Nated, because I think Nated's one of the best at doing the ring 3
jumps and stuff.
Just because he plays so much online, and so they boost him up. He does the jump up to ring 3, has an advantage point over everyone else. And
I mean, they're not going to expect that. Is basically the
and he's able to nade and slay the opponent as they come in for the rockets, which lets someone on his team able to pick them up, which is always a good start when you have rockets. So at the 10-minute mark, 5 minutes into the game, it's all tied up 31-31. It's a rather quick
this is very fast for Shrine. You'd expect this scoreline in Warlord, but they're definitely pushing the action and stuff.
Yeah. So at the 8-minute mark, 2 minutes later, 42-42. Looks like this is going to get over real quick.
It is slowing down a little bit though. So.
Yeah. And then 7-minute mark, Denial's up 46-43. This is where the game really slows down. 6-minute mark, Denial has both snipers. They're up 46-45. 5-minute mark, 46-45. 4:45. There's kind of a quick trade. So it ties it all up at 47-47. At 4:30, Winter Fox does it all. They drop the waterfall to cut off the sniper angle on Denial. McWin has the sniper. He's sniping from basically the flag, and they're watching it. They're doing it because they know rockets are about to drop. They're getting
very, very heads up play by them actually.
Yeah, Spike Mouth is telling them that hey, rockets are about to drop. So they're sitting there. McWin's watching it, and Winter Fox drops the waterfall, so it forces McWin to basically have to move out to try to get an angle on. To be able to see what's going on. And in those few seconds that they drop that waterfall and McWin has to move, Winter Fox is able to grab the rockets. I think it was Arcanum who grabbed them, but I'm not 100% sure there.
Yeah, hopped in, grabbed him, hopped out.
So at the 4:15 mark, Winter Fox uses those rockets to go up 48-47. And then at this point, they're up 1.
Makes it extremely questionable decision.
They're up 1 with rockets, with ring control.
And Fox, Denial has 2 snipers, I believe.
Yeah, Denial still has both snipers, but Winter Fox has, like I said, they have rockets and they definitely have ring control. And Winter Fox goes for the classic Winter Fox move, and they decide to make a push. And it almost
they try and push across bridge into the hut to try and
Yeah.
Just get the rocket, blow up the guy, and just end the game quick.
Yeah, and it ends up kind of working. It ends up going 49-49, but in the process, one of Winter Fox is no shield in court, and Hines, being the awesome player that he is, comes around from he had to be somewhere's by their flag or main ramp or something. He just kind of comes in from the side and is able to pick the kill up for the 50-49.
Yeah, and it's actually so. I don't remember exactly what happened, but I know that so they're up 48-47 and they push, and actually 2 people die on them. So they're actually now down 49-48, and then Ryan Noob is able to clean up 1 kill, but in doing so, he's the guy that ends up 1 shot and dies. You know, he was the 3rd person in that push. But I don't understand the push at all.
Yeah.
Like, why are you gonna pop out when you have denial with 2 snipers, Mickwin, and I believe Chig had the other one. So they're 2 best snipers. Both have one. You have rockets, you have ring, and the lead. You know, let them make the mistake. But you know, like you said, this is kind of like what Winter Fox does.
And it's not the first time that they've lost the game. No, it's not. We saw it happen on Lockdown pushing. Slayer, I think.
Yeah, we've seen it multiple times where they push while having the lead and make kind of rash decisions a little bit.
Yeah.
They force action when it's not in their best interest to.
Yeah.
And that's what they do. And you know, it could have worked out for them. They could have got the rocket that kill that you know, won them the game, but you know, it didn't work, and it was a gamble that I didn't think it was necessary, basically.
Yeah, I know.
And denial wins.
I know that at least one other time, like I said, I remember being Lockdown Slayer, that they specifically were up. I think a similar situation. It was like 49-48 or 48-47, and they made a push and ended up losing when they had the lead. So it's not the first time they've done it. And I think even then, when it happened, I dubbed the term Winter Foxing it. And this is another, you know, at this point, it's kind of becoming a term called being, you know, Winter Foxing it. And even later on in the tournament, I don't know if it was EG or Denial or CLG. Someone was up in a game. I think it was EG. They were up in the game, and it started getting a little hectic. And someone on the team said, "Hey, don't Winter Fox it." As in, no, we have the lead. We don't need to rush. Just sit back. And, you know, immediately the team knew what they meant, too, when they said, "Don't Winter Fox it." So that's officially becoming a thing, unfortunately, for Winter Fox. But, you know, I wonder if what happened to them at Indy with CLG, where they didn't rush. Like, we ended up losing that match to the game to CLG where Cloud gets the back smack on Ryanoob.
Yeah,
it's one of those times where, like, that was the game where they didn't push. They waited it out to like the last 10 seconds, and had they rushed earlier, they might have had the kill. So I wonder if
and then
that
the whole
was in the back
tournament's
of their
different or
mind.
whatever. Yeah, no, and it might have been. They might have been just like, hey, when we have the chance, like, let's just push and win this and stuff. But they don't in this case. And the series could go very differently if they win that. They play smart and they win that game, and they're now 2-0 up in the series. But instead, it's now 1-1 and moving into a game 3 of Warlord Ball.
It's 1-1 in a game where they, you know, there's no reason they should have lost.
Yeah, they should be up 2-0.
When you have rockets and ring control, like, there's really nowheres.
You just wait for them to come in and you
the snipers aren't going to affect you, and there's no reason that they should have ever have lost that. So we head into game 3, Warlord Ball. 10-minute mark, Winter Fox has a 44-5 lead in complete map control. We've mentioned before that Warlord tends to be one of their better maps, so they come off strong here, taking a 44-5 lead, 5 minutes, 1/3 of the way through. Or no, 2 minutes in, because it's a ball game.
Oh, yeah.
So, 2 minutes in. At the 8-minute mark, Denial, basically are able to answer back, take a 59-52 lead. 6-minute mark, it's all tied up at 75.
Yeah, halfway through the game, perfectly tied, 75-75.
Yeah. 4-minute mark, Winter Fox takes just a hair lead, 98-96. 3-minute mark, they barely holding on to that lead, 116-112. And then Denial's able to take over
the tide's
at that point. Yeah, they get map control. They're able to hold the ball. 2-minute mark, they go up 137-118. 1 minute mark, 147-122. And then they're able to close it out. At the 30-second mark, they're up 167 to 122, which makes it mathematically impossible for them to win at that point.
Yeah, so they just dominated the last 2 minutes basically, or the last three minutes or so.
The game was basically back and forth the whole time until the last 3 minutes where Denial got control and held on to it. So on a map that we expect Winter Fox to win.
Yeah, and now instead of being 2-0 up going into that Warlord ball game, they'd have momentum and stuff. It's 1-1. They go in, they lose it. Now they're down 1-2 in the series going into a game 4.
Shrine Bomb, which
which is now for
Denial's favor. We would if I had to pick who would win on this map, in the most times, and if they played 10 times, I would give Denial the wins probably 7 of those times.
Yeah.
So we get things started off at the 28-minute mark. Hines with the sniper keeps Winter Fox spawn trapped, and they're able to go up 1-0. And then the game stalls out for a long time. And then at the 16-minute mark, Arcanum goes crazy with the sniper. It's not the first time that we've mentioned him going crazy with the sniper on Shrine too. But Winter Fox comes up like less than a second short of the plant, and Denial's able to reset it by throwing it out. And with Arcanum doing well with the sniper, similar to earlier, he did really well with the sniper, and they weren't able to get a flag or plant. I can't remember what it was that we talked about, but this is the same situation where this time they at least came close, but they weren't able to capitalize on a player going off like he was.
Yeah, but talking about a player going off, the game ends 1-0, but
before we say
this is one.
The game ends 1-0. Denial takes the series 3-1, knocking Winter Fox to the losers bracket and setting up an EG versus Denial winners bracket finals.
Yeah, which we've seen quite frequently.
Yeah.
But yeah, the stats in this game. There's 2 standout stats. One is good. One is not good.
I think the not good one is the bigger one for me.
Yeah, probably. So not good on Winter Fox naded.
In a 15, the game goes full time, so 15 minutes. Naded gets 8 kills. Granted, he did put up 18 assists.
Yeah, he did have 18 assists, but that's still only contributing to 26 kills.
Yeah, where the rest of his team was
almost had 26 kills each. Plus, 36,
34,
36.
34. So 36, 34, and 34. And he's only, at 26. And in a 15-minute game, there is no excuse.
Yeah, you would expect more than 8 kills. Yeah.
At least break double-digit kills.
And 26 deaths, so, minus 14. Or is that minus 18? Yeah, minus 18. So, very, very poor game from him. But the good stat, absolutely insane. Miquin, we've talked about him being like the ultimate slayer, and I really do feel like he is probably the best pure slayer in the game right now. We've said that he has some questionable decisions when it comes to the objective and things like that, but slaying-wise, absurd. 40 kills in this game. The next best in the game was Randa and Arcanum with 28 and 27. He had 40 kills and only 18 deaths. So he went plus 22. In a winner's semifinal on HCS, I mean, these guys go plus 22 against scrubs in the playlist all day, but not against other pros, they don't.
It's not even that. We'll see 40 bombs on, and even like a 50 bomb on Warlord.
Warlord, yeah.
But on Shrine, that's almost unheard of in just a 15-minute game. If it went to super overtime, that would be a different story. But in a just the 15-minute span to get 40 kills, and the scary thing about Denial that makes me wonder, like, just why they can't be better than they are, is we'll see APG drop 40 bombs too. And between APG and Miquin, like, it questions how they could ever lose a slaying battle ever.
Yeah, like, it's crazy.
It's like they have 2 of what I would consider the top straight up slayers in the game, and like this is just one of those stats that shows it.
Yeah, I mean, do want to point out Arcanum, though, another great slayer that we've talked about. He did go plus 8 or plus 7 in this game, and the only person on his team to go, or no, Randa also went positive, just barely. But so I mean, Arcanum, like you said, he went crazy with the sniper. Had a decent game, but not able to convert for their team. But nothing like Miquin. That's a huge game. Plus 22. It might be one of the bigger games that we've seen in HCS actually at a live event.
Yeah, for sure.
As far as just like complete, we've seen more kills, but those kills also come with more deaths. not very often the player has over 2-1 KD against a top 4 team.
Yeah.
This is a 2-3 versus a 3 seed, not like a 2 versus a 7, or in the round 1 of like Indianapolis where like they're playing a 20 seed or 25 seed or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So very crazy.
So I know our original plan was to go through Friday and Saturday.
I agree,
but we've already gone through a little over an hour and a half. So I think this is a good spot to cut it. It leaves us with 6 teams.
Agree.
We have the winners bracket finals that have yet to happen, which won't take place till Sunday, and then we have a bunch of losers bracket with 6 teams to get whittled down to
the champion.
One.
Yeah. So right now we have
Saturday
EG and
went
Denial.
all the way down to just one losers.
No, Saturday went down to 3. Oh, 1 losers bracket team.
Yeah,
yes.
So it was the winners bracket finals, and then one.
Yeah, so there's 4 losers.
So yeah, we got a bunch
4
of
teams
loser
left
stuff
in the losers bracket.
left,
So
yeah.
So when we come back,
we'll pick that up
in next week. Yeah, we'll have 6 matches to cover. The 4 in the losers bracket, and then the 1 losers bracket, and the grand finals.
Yeah, because the 1 winners bracket. When you think about the grand finals, we basically have 2 to talk. So
exactly,
we'll have a lot of information to talk about next week. And like I said, this is probably a good place to stop for now.
Definitely. So. So that does leave Denial and EG as our 2 teams left in the winners bracket. Our losers bracket consists of Winter Fox and Cloud9. Cloud9 beating Excellence, in the earlier loser round 1, and then the other matchup being CLG versus Optic. Optic beating Liquid. So these are going to be. It will be the first match of the day for both Cloud9 and Optic for these series. Winter Fox and CLG both did play, losing to EG and losing to Denial. So potentially they might be a little bit more warm and could maybe expect to see them advance, but we don't know. And that's where we're going to take it up next week, is with those matchups starting in losers round 2.
Do we want to talk about Gamescom at all, or do we want to save that till next week?
Well, we can talk about it very briefly. Just a quick news, community news. There's going to be the Gamescom Invitational, which Gamescom, if you're not familiar, is a gaming convention
it's the E3
in
of
Cologne,
Europe.
Germany.
It's Europe's version
Exactly.
of E3.
And it's in Cologne, Germany.
We're going to see a lot of game trailers and.
Yeah, Halo 5. I was hoping to spill the beans on this one, but they announced it earlier than I thought they would. They actually announced it Saturday night, I believe. But I was talking to Assault after Saturday night, and he told me that they were going to be going to this.
So yeah, first of all, it's it's an invitational. It's not a normal tournament. It's in
there's
Germany.
only 4 teams.
Second of all, it's going to be Friday, August 7th, which is right before my vacation.
This is a Halo 5 tournament.
Yeah, the first Halo.
We didn't mention
first Halo 5 tournament. It's a pre-launch invitational. For only 4 teams involved. 3 of them are European, 1 American. The European teams are Epsilon Esports, Kaz.esports, and Supremacy. And the only team you're going to probably recognize out of the bunch is the North American team, which is Optic.
Right.
What do we?
Yeah, and I don't know much about the European teams. I actually haven't even looked at the rosters. I do believe that a couple of my old buddies.
Optic to sweep?
Potentially, but you also,
if the best European, like if we look back to season 1 finals, the best European team got to come over, and that was the Vibe team where Septic originally came from, and they got completely smashed. Versus even the 8th seeded team, like they ended up finishing.
I mean, you also have to remember they did play Noble in that first matchup, and Noble did end up going on to get 3rd place, and Vibe, they didn't get 3-0. I believe it was a game 5 against Noble.
I don't.
Or maybe it was a 3-1. I know they took 1 game though.
Yeah.
But so
I don't know. I just
potentially
don't expect...
Optic could sweep this. It also depends. There'll be some jet lag going on there and everything. And there are some very good players in Europe. I don't know the rosters, but I do believe a couple of my old friends might be playing. The Buck Twins.
Were they European?
Yeah, they're from Great Britain.
I never
they were on Team Power back in Halo 3 days.
I remember that. I remember the Bucks.
And actually, they were the
European.
first European team to ever get a pro seed, and they ended up getting the 16th seed towards the end of Halo 3. But yeah, they're both British. I don't know what capacity, if they're going to be playing or not, because one of them works in for The Sun, which is a tabloid magazine in Europe, actually.
Yeah,
and then the other
magazine in Europe?
Probably. The Guardian is probably the biggest.
Oh,
but
yeah,
that's
right, the Guardian.
less tabloid than the Sun. But then the other works for Ubisoft in Europe. So I don't know what his responsibilities at Gamescom, because I'm assuming Ubisoft is going to have something there. So whether he'll be able to play in that invitational or not, I'm not sure. I need to look at the rosters for those teams.
If you keep talking for like 10 more seconds,
yeah, I'll try and fill some time. But no, I do expect Optic to win this event. You know, they have the practice, not necessarily in Halo 5, but with playing and working together for a while. And I'm sure these European teams are practicing online too, but it's not the same as like having the competition that Optic sees day in, day out with the scrims and then actually at the events and everything. So it'll be interesting to see. And then we'll get our first chance to look at Halo 5, and that'll be exciting. You know, we're going to get, you know, they're going to be using the stock settings basically. You know, it'll be no radar and things like that, but it's going to be pretty much what you get when you open up Halo 5 first. So it'll be interesting to see how that translates into a competitive title. You know, we've had some debate. There's huge amounts of debate in the Halo community on how that'll happen, or like what Halo 5 is going to mean for Halo as an esport and competitive play and stuff like that. I think that it's going to work out fine, actually. I think that Halo 5 will be a good competitive title. We'll see if I'm right. We're likely, just a heads up, we're likely to see a BR, or not a BR, assault rifle and a pistol start. And that's something that Halo hasn't seen for a while in competitive play. So I think that'll be like one of the biggest things to watch when you are watching this, is look to see how that affects the gameplay. You know, starting with that close range weapon in the SMG. You know, most players are almost always going to switch to the pistol. Good players are right off the bat, but you know, how the players can utilize that and how much it is utilized, the SMG or the assault rifle. I can't remember what it's called, but I believe the assault rifle in the competitive play, like in these tournaments or this tournament. You know, 4 teams we expect to see. It's probably not going to be, well, it'll probably be double elimination. Do you remember what was the MCC Invitational double elimination?
Yeah, because Believe the Hype came from the losers. Straight won the winners, and then Believe the Hype came to the losers to win an 11-game series.
We probably will see a losers bracket. So we're going to end up with, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 matches total for the losers bracket and the grand final.
Okay.
So, you know, that'll be a good, you know, probably best of 5s. It could be best of 3s, depending on what maps are available. That's the other thing to look for, is what maps are going to be good for this. You know, we'll see some small ones, and then there'll probably be some maps that work real well and some that aren't as good for competitive play. And it'll help refine that for when HCS first starts again.
All right.
With Halo 5. And then I guess the last thing I would say to keep your eye on with it is to see... you know, there's a couple other changes with like the weapons always spawning. Like it tells you when the power weapons are spawning to see how that affects gameplay. So it'll be interesting. And then like the other game types like Stronghold. I'm assuming that'll be one of the competitive ones and how that works out and everything. I think it's a great game type personally, so I'm looking forward to it all. You got those rosters for me?
Yeah, so all 3 are British
teams, probably.
Yeah, they're all British.
It makes sense.
Epsilon, you were correct, is Buck 20 and Buck 57.
Okay.
Along with Jimbo and Snipe Drone. And Snipe Drone's a player I've heard of or seen before.
Yeah, I don't know either of those. I'm curious if some of the other players, some of them that I knew, because I was pretty good friends with Power when I was coaching. I hung out with them a lot and stuff. So I knew the teams then. I don't know if any of the others are going to be playing. So what's this Kaz Esports team?
Kaz Esports. Now they have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They have 6 people listed. So I assume one's a coach and one.
GL?
No, this is on the Kaz Esports website.
Oh, okay.
So they have 6 people
one's
listed.
probably a coach, one's a manager or something like that.
But it doesn't just say who is who.
Right.
So I'm going to assume it looks like maybe, I don't know. We'll just, the first one is It's Monster, MNSTR. Second is Flames, Snaky, Vard, Godshot, and Ads.
Okay, so Vard is the only one I've heard of.
I haven't heard of it.
And I can't really say anything about it. I've heard the name, Vard, and I believe I've heard the Ads also, but I'm not sure.
Oh, yep. I know Godshot from Gears of War. He started out with Gears
Okay,
of War and then switched over to Halo in 2013.
gotcha.
So that's why I recognize him. I used to love watching Gears.
Yeah.
So that's
All right,
that
so
team.
how about Supremacy?
Supremacy. We have now the only thing I could find for Supremacy wasn't like I couldn't find a website or anything, so I don't know how up to date this roster is. But the roster I could find was Chalky,
Right,
Ramirez,
I know Chalky.
Riots, and 2Foxy.
Okay, interesting. I would expect Epsilon to win this. The Bucks haven't played as much recently, so that could be maybe they're not as good anymore. But they were the best players, or on the best European team. They swept pretty much all European events and then did well and they had a top 16 seed for MLG events in Halo 3. So they have the experience there for tournaments. So it'll be interesting to see if if they still have their game or not. They're moved on to their professional lives a little bit and everything. Obviously, everyone still games, but see where their skills lie, and how these teams really can stack up against Optic. I'm predicting Optic, but I kind of want one of these other teams to win because I think that it could potentially help grow Halo,
huge, yeah.
Halo in Europe, because Halo in Britain is pretty good, but in Germany, which is and like the Netherlands and stuff, those are huge esports countries, but not in Halo. Yeah, all of Europe,
but is a big one.
Yeah, but I think particularly Dutch, like the Netherlands, Holland, Germany, and then like Finland, or not so much Finland, but Norway and Sweden, super big esports countries and stuff, yeah, but not for Halo.
We see that in CS:GO, we see that in Dota.
Exactly.
And it's just like, so yeah, if one of these even though they're all British players, but Supremacy is a French esports team.
Okay.
So we have at least we have a French team with British players. But
so it could be good for Halo.
It would be huge
in a worldwide setting, and because really for Halo to blow up, kind of, so to speak, as a esport, it really does need a global following.
Yeah. And Gamescom is the perfect
and you have to start with
that.
Europe. Yeah. No, it's very smart decision.
It's the biggest convention in Europe.
Yeah.
It's, it has Optic, who's one of the biggest names in esports.
FPS.
Yeah, FPS esports. So yeah, it could definitely be big. And just to touch, I think the only person I recognized, well, you said you recognized Chalky, but I recognized 2Foxy from seeing him around. So they could be a team to watch out for.
Yeah, look forward to some good games there, and hopefully Halo 5 turns out well, and no disconnects, no can't connect just because the game is bad. So hopefully it runs smoothly, and Halo has a great showing in this European environment, so that a lot of these CS players that are primarily FPS on PC can get this like prime like tournament experience for a brand new Halo 5, and draw some of them in.
Yeah, it definitely will be exciting to see.
So I think that's all we have for you guys today. Next week we're going to be back, like we said, with the conclusion of the HCS Season 2 finals, that being the 2 losers bracket matches that we have currently, and then also the rest of the winners bracket, EG versus Denial, see how that shakes out and how HCS Season 2 finishes. And then we're also going to be doing a little bit of like end of season awards,
maybe.
I believe.
We'll have to see
depending
how long
on time. Yeah, depending on how long it goes. Maybe we'll save that for
its own episode.
Its own episode, yeah, or whatever. But then following that, we'll do a review of the Gamescom Invitational 2 weeks from today. So again, that's Friday, August 7th.
2 weeks from today, I will be on vacation. So if you
will be on vacation.
I'll be on. I'm on vacation the second week of August. I actually leave on the 8th, so I'll barely get to see that tournament.
Yeah.
But if you want to reach out to EXO or whatever, we could.
Yeah, definitely. We can get something going.
Or you have connections. If you find a connection that you want to do something, feel free. If not, I will be back the following week.
All right.
So thanks for listening, everyone. Phade, go ahead and do your shout-outs or self-plugs.
My plugs, Twitter, obviously, Phade. That's my big one. You can catch me there. And then also, I'm just getting going on streaming again. I might have a little bit better quality stream, tomorrow potentially when
Windows 10.
Windows 10 drops. I'm going to
You're
try and
welcome.
see how I'm going to test it, see how it works.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. I've been playing a little bit of Halo, a lot of Destiny probably. Not a lot. It'll be infrequent on my streaming, but if you want to watch me, that's twitch.tv Phade underscore HCS or HCS underscore Phade. Can't quite remember off my Phade underscore HCS. There we go. That's my Twitch screen or name. So you can catch me there, but mostly just Twitter. Watch us on YouTube and everything, and you can send me a message on Twitter and play some games, whether it's Halo, Destiny, whatever. Just get at me.
I am Phelan, Fail3N, on Twitch, on Twitter, all that fun stuff. I don't stream as much anymore just because it's been the summertime and I've been dealing with personal things, but I plan on getting back into streaming when I get back from vacation, most likely. But for now, I basically only do this on Tuesdays. But feel free to follow me on Twitter, on Twitch for when I do get back into the swing of things. If you want to send us any sort of messages or anything, comments,